Good evening, guys. Thanks for joining us for Mariah's World, Season 1, Episode 5, Catching Feelings. We have a lot to discuss tonight. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
I just want to do this the whole time.
Is that the go-to move?
Yeah.
We gotta bring that to the backup dancers next week.
Yep.
Oh, Olivia and I have moves for next week. We gotta show you after.
Okay, yeah. I gotta learn the choreo.
Right? Guys, thanks for joining us tonight. We have a lot to catch up on. The last week has been a little dramatic in the world of Mariah Carey. So we're gonna hit the real world stuff before we get to the episode. But I'm Abigail Fraher, and you can catch me at Abigail Fraher on all social media.
And I'm Jesse D'Angelo. It's so great to be back, you guys. You can find me across all. I missed you guys so much. I was like, a part of me is missing. You can find me everywhere at Jesse J. D'Angelo.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm Olivia Gabaree. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter, The Real OG.
All right, guys. Let's just start with like I said earlier, chronologically. So Anthony was fired.
Dun dun dun.
Done.
I think he's the one that took the fall.
I mean, someone had to take the fall.
They needed to find someone.
Unfortunately, it was Anthony that had to.
Right.
Well, because Dick Clark Productions wasn't about to go down. So
Right.
But everybody was on their side. I think Mariah was obviously embarrassed, and someone had to be of blame. But
So basically, the synopsis, if you haven't been following anything news oriented, or if you've been in a hole, because it's pretty much it was like
everybody knows.
I mean, it was front and center on Yahoo,
Everywhere.
So he basically moved the backup singers further back so that the backup dancers could have more room to do what they said is jazz hands in front of Mariah's face. So that right there just sounds like a Mariah-esque stunt.
Mm-hmm.
And it ended up backfiring. I mean, how do you guys feel about that? Do you think that is necessarily... they said Anthony did not clear it with Mariah or with the manager. Isn't that Anthony's job, though, is to make those decisions?
yeah, but I remember in the episode, things like that kind of upset Mariah because he had made other decisions, changing choreography and things like that without consulting her first. And she made it clear that makes it more difficult for her because this is her face and her brand that she's putting on the line.
True.
So ultimately, if something goes wrong, it's her fault, even if it's not her fault. Just like the New Year's Eve thing. She really didn't have control over something like that, but she's the face of the show, so it all falls down on her. Which I totally get that if I was in her shoes,
And I respect that she says that as well, because it'd be so easy in her position to place blame, but she ultimately accepts responsibility as the face of, she's Mariah Carey.
Accepts responsibility.
Loosely. Someone in our live chat just said that Anthony wasn't fired, his contract was up, and they saw that in an interview.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
And that was nowhere.
Yeah,
I read that there were multiple reasons.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of headlines were saying
Then there was a spin of where he wasn't his contract wasn't re-signed, and now it's going to be
right. Maybe it was just like twisting of words.
Maybe that's why it wasn't re-signed. Okay.
Well, I saw.
Thank you, Ambrosial Songbird.
Ambrosial. I saw. He did release a statement saying something like it should be all love, and he didn't want any negative light on the situation. Yeah.
Well, we would love to have Anthony in here, and that would be a great...
that would be cool.
That would be great. But, at the end of the day, someone has to be held responsible, regardless of what. You need some sort of not even a blame placer, but you need to come up with something to tell everybody. You can't just be like, oh, it just happened.
Left unexplained.
Yeah. I don't know.
So, next thing was Jimmy Fallon last night. His teleprompter stopped working. And I don't know if anyone was watching, but Olivia and I were on the Golden Globes after show, so I felt a little connection to him when he mentioned Mariah. I was like, oh, I have to say this on the show tomorrow. But so he basically said, I'm going to do Mariah, and when his teleprompter wasn't working, however, Jimmy Fallon, I think, handled the teleprompter situation a little bit better than Mariah handled the music situation. However, they are completely different, and you can't really even compare the two.
You can't. And he was just thinking on his toes. That's what a comedian does.
He's an improviser, and he only needs to improv one line before the teleprompter was back and up and running, whereas Mariah, her whole performance
She's like,
is just
and we're done. And then lastly, I guess in the news, is that Mariah today let her fans know via Twitter that she will be taking a break from social media.
Mm-hmm.
Now, she is going on another tour in March, so I'm not sure how long that break is going to be.
I mean,
You know, it's probably going to be,
she
right. Until
plans to
she's
pick
ready
it
for
up.
some more, like, I can't picture her really being out of
She's
social
just going
media,
on
but-
hiatus.
Yeah.
You know?
and that's not a bad thing.
And she said
I couldn't do it.
she'll be
but-
revealing more about the New Year's Eve thing when she does come back from social media, like comes back to social media. So I'm kind of excited to see what, she comes up with during her break.
I know.
Yeah, because she said, I'll have a statement and my thoughts on it for whoever wants to listen when the time comes. But for right now, kind of is what it is.
I'm sure she's embarrassed.
Right, I would be too. So I respect
She's
it.
coming off a
Everybody
tour,
needs
go
a break.
relax.
Yeah.
There's a podcast that I listen to, and one of the hosts was saying it's a podcast on the housewives, but she started doing Mariah's World too, a little bit, and so I was listening to it, and she said it's almost kind of like we expect this from Mariah now, like this is the new level that she set, like the debacles, like the Christmas performance a couple years ago and being late, and now this, she's like, isn't it kind of what we expect? Like this is what we go.
We don't ever expect her to be on time or do everything.
Because we have the old Mariah, like that's not going anywhere.
Right.
Heartbreaker, all the songs, the albums that we treasure, that's not going to get tainted. So whatever.
And you know what? If nothing else, she became a lot more relevant.
That's what I was just gonna say.
Her name was used in the Golden Globes. Like that's relevant.
And it's amazing because she's such an OG. She's been around for so long, and the fact that she's this relevant this late in the game, that's a big accomplishment for an artist.
So it's like, you know what? Pat yourself on the back, Mariah. We love you. It's all gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Let's get into the episode. So we start with everyone at this playground in Sweden, like this indoor play park.
Play place.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And then then that was really it for the opening. I mean, again, her talking about her family. I think we're constantly being dug into our mind that she loves her family. I don't think there was anything new with that. No.
Yeah.
Same old. Okay.
Beating a dead horse. For lack of
we
a
were
better.
actually discussing before that we thought that this episode was a little more frazzled than the other ones even.
I thought it was so scattered, like nothing
there were a
was
lot of
touched on for
clips.
more than a minute. It was like,
There were a
we're
lot
in the
of-
play place, 30
right.
seconds, boom. Then like,
Serious
we're having a
editing.
glass of wine in Italy. Good, next
They
scene.
were just headlining the relationship between Mariah and her team, especially the dancers.
And it makes me
Yeah.
wonder how, because it was so clip oriented, how much was actually going on, because they needed to make a whole episode out of it, and
if you
this
couldn't
is all
get
they
one
could
chunk
get.
to do, that's how the edit had to come out.
And you're gonna find me. I feel like I'm defending Tanaka a little bit this episode, which I don't normally do.
Hey,
I
I'm
have a feeling
behind
we're all
you.
going to be on the same page.
Yeah. So
Tides are turning, people.
so we met Josephine, who is one of Mariah's first friends that she lived with before she was Mariah Carey, and that she that's her moment where she reminds us that she's human and that she's relatable. Blah blah. Then we go to Anthony basically telling Mariah how she's seen as a star and she needs to be more involved with the background dancers and more involved with the staff so that they're not starstruck every time they see her. And I understand that and I don't understand that at the same time. Do I think that Beyonce really kicks it with her backup dancers? No, I don't.
You see, I was wondering what would be best, because at first I thought you should maintain a professional relationship and certain lines shouldn't be crossed, especially because the line where a backup dancer is trying to be in a relationship with the talent, I thought that was kind of a weird dynamic. But as the episode went on, I kind of agreed that they should have a relationship with Mariah because it adds to that chemistry on stage and the comfortability. And if I just was sitting next to Mariah Carey, I would be nervous. And to perform your best, you have to be comfortable. So I can see where they're coming from, why that would be important.
For sure. And she said that it had always been her, she said she always spends time by herself or with the backup singers. So it'd be one thing if it was just with herself.
Right.
But for you to do it with the singers and not the dancers, it sort of causes this split.
That's
so
true.
I'm on board.
So basically they got a house
in Italy
that looked
Lake
bomb.
Como.
Yes, Lake Como. And they were there, I think, I'm not sure how many days it was, but it seemed like there was a slight hiatus.
Yeah, because they wrapped up the first 13 stops, and then it was like a little mini.
So they had that little break there where they could all just kind of chill and hang out. And that's where we first see Tanaka admitting to G. I wish G was here today.
I know,
because I would have loved to
perfect.
talk to him about it. But he's confiding in G about how he has you know, a crush on Mariah, and how, you know, Tanaka, you even find him saying, I don't know if this is even right. And G's like, well, I mean, it could be real. It could not be real. Like,
Yeah, he's
you
like,
know,
I'm
so-
not gonna.
I
he
like how
did-
he's being positive about
Yeah.
it, though. He wasn't really knocking him for his feelings.
Right.
He was like, you know, maybe it could be accurate. Maybe you are spot
Because that
on
is
on
how
this.
he feels, so that's nice that he didn't try to like invalidate that.
I mean, I don't know. Tanaka is interesting to me.
How so?
Because I feel like sometimes he's being childish and sometimes he's trying to handle things like an adult, and maybe that's just, I mean, he's 33, we find out, and they removed the balloons, you know, so that
Yeah.
we don't know his age, but like, he's a grown
I'm on
man.
board with that.
You're what? You're on board with that? I know. No, after I
I
saw
don't
those
smoke,
balloons,
but I would have lit a cigarette just to put those out. I'm like, what the hell are these numbers doing in
get
here?
the numbers out.
County's
I'm
canceled.
never
My
having
spot.
numbers again on my birthday. Like, I don't have to. After this, I was like, if Tanaka doesn't have to, like, you can't say if Mariah doesn't have to, I don't have to. But if Tanaka doesn't have to, I don't have to.
Tanaka had an
Right?
anniversary, too.
Yeah, exactly.
I would have been all, oh, who's 33?
Not I.
So basically, that conversation leads us into Tanaka's birthday. What did you guys think about his birthday?
Listen, I don't blame him for feeling the way he does about Mariah, because as
She
a
is-
viewer,
okay.
she's flirting with him.
She instigates a lot.
Yeah.
He's
I
not crazy.
It
He's
takes
not
two
crazy.
to tango.
It could just be her personality, and she could just be not messing with him, but kind of toying with the fact that she obviously knows that he feels a certain type of way. So she was just playing off that, you know, putting his little hat on, being flirtatious, making him feel fine on his 33rd birthday.
And you see her like pour the champagne on his sweater. I mean, like Mariah
tables have
was
turned.
extra. She was extra in that whole situation.
And you could tell when she was feeling the champagne, even
Right.
before his birthday party when they were hanging out in Lake Como, and they were sitting there, and it just, again, it cut to this part where she was just looking in the camera, like breaking the fourth wall, lip syncing to My All, just kind of
Right.
like, and he's extra like, oh, you're gonna make
and
me
he got
blush. I'm like, what
uncomfortable.
is happening?
Okay,
Yes.
thank you for bringing that scene up. That scene, I felt gross during
Why?
that scene. I felt
Why did you feel gross?
I felt grimy. I didn't like what she was doing. I really didn't.
She was, but she was egging him on.
No,
She-
I'm not blaming him.
No,
I'm saying
I
the
know.
whole scene made me very uncomfortable. Not because
I think that's part
so
of it.
you
though,
would
like
have
her.
blushed too, right?
no. I would have never been in that situation. Like I would have been like gotten up and walked away. I would have been like, you make me nervous.
Well,
Like,
then he
you're
eventually
both-
walked away.
You're both grown people, and actually, what I realized too is both of them, when they're being interviewed separately, talk about this amazing friendship they have. But when you are watching them interact, there's not really there's not a deep friendship there. I don't see that. I have not heard them have a legitimate
Yes.
conversation. All I hear is giggling. All I hear is flirting. All I hear is like, you know, what you would see when you see two people who like each other and don't really know how to express it. That's not a deep relationship to me. That's not a deep friendship. And I think both separately, they say that they have this deep friendship so that we kind of ignore it. You know who has a deep friendship? Mariah and Anthony. You see this whole episode. Anthony's touching her, he's lifting her, he had his hand like low on her hip, but I never felt uncomfortable.
Yep.
Because you know where they stand and you can see that.
You know, it's nothing
You
more
see
than.
that,
But do you think it's because the show is painting a picture for us that they're building up a relationship between Tanaka and Mariah, so they're making it seem
Yes and no.
that way?
Yes and no, because even when like Tanaka was talking to like Mariah's kids and stuff, it feels forced to me. It does not feel.
Yeah.
That does not feel like an old 10-year friendship.
Well, I mean, is it even a 10-year friendship? Because he called it that, but he worked with her 10 years ago. But for how
exactly,
long?
that's
Like
what I'm
a
saying though.
1 year-
But she's saying the same
10
thing.
years
She's saying,
ago.
you know, we're old friends. Like, you
I think
knew
they're
each
trying to do
other.
that
Right.
to like condone what's
they're
going
doing.
on.
Right.
So like, oh, a 10-year
Exactly.
friendship. No, you had a little blip a decade
Right.
ago.
Right.
Like,
No.
can't say that
No.
now.
So I guess that was what kind of made me feel a little gross. And if I was James right now, I would be like,
That's what I keep on having that in my head. Being James Packer and watching this, it's just I feel it's embarrassing. It's
Do we
embarrassing.
think he's
for
watching
him.
it?
If
Like,
he's
do you
not
think he's
watching
above
it,
it? Like,
he's-
yes.
he could be above it, but there's
No.
no way he's not hearing about
No,
it.
I think men, they like to act like they're above everything, and they like to act like, oh, it doesn't matter. But you know that he's watching.
Because I mean,
You
we'd
know-
be crazy. What I
Wait,
mean,
I would
like-
feel betrayed if I was
But see,
him.
women won't hide that they're crazy. We're like, did you see? he's already with them.
He's not
you know
gonna
that
admit
bleep,
yeah.
like, but with men,
in the
they're
group
like, yeah,
chat.
whatever, I don't care. But like, you know, they're secretly like in their bed before they go to sleep at night, like flipping through stuff. But
Yeah.
so that was my, like, I guess biggest thing. But also in Mariah's defense now in the whole situation. Sometimes I do think that she is just, you know, she just wants attention. It's not necessarily that she's looking to do anything. Obviously, we know she is because we know where they're at now.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, did she just want some attention? Is she just really... Sometimes I feel like she's just that little, like, girl that, look at me,
Well,
kind
not
of a
even...
thing.
Well, that, and I think it's just her personality. And
Yeah. She's a star. She
But
likes to
I
be a star.
kind
She
of-
likes to be the center of attention.
I saw myself in Mariah a lot in this episode because I think her sense of humor is very similar to mine, where it is sarcastic, and it could be, there's a lot of times where I'm just interacting with people and it could be misinterpreted if you don't understand my personality or where I'm coming from. So
Sure.
that could just be who she is, and then just being an outsider and not really knowing her, you can misinterpret it as, she's flirting with them, she's messing with them, she just wants attention, or she truly is that big of a diva. But half the time I think she's just playing into it and she's just being like sarcastic.
Right.
I
know?
agree, and I'm totally on board with you as far as personality goes, because I've had that so many times where people have misread some, like, a vibe that I'm giving out when I'm just
Yes.
naturally sort of friendly and maybe flirty, but not in a, oh, come here to me kind of way.
Yeah, like I'll flirt with you, but I don't want to, I'm not interested in you. That's
Right.
just how I
I'm not trying to
interact.
bed you.
Right. I'm not trying
But
to
then at the
bed
same
you.
time,
That's
like, let's be honest, like, it feels
She's
good
being a
when you know
tease,
someone's
right.
feeling and they're flirting with you.
And
so
when you know that
sometimes
you could get
subconscious-
them there if you wanted to. Like, it's like, you're like, I have the power.
So
I have
like
all
take
the
it to
power.
the edge
Right.
before it gets like super inappropriate, because you know you can. Maybe it's a
Right.
subconscious thing, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't do that before. You know, sometimes
Which leads...
I'm like a walking
And you
contradiction
know what? I'll just
today.
let
I'm a
you. I'm gonna
mess.
lead us into the next thing, so we don't want you to, you know, don't reveal anything here.
Yeah, no.
Which leads us to like the Mariah when they all dressed up
Oh, that was hilarious.
and Anthony like hid under Tanaka's blanket,
That was funny.
and that was hilarious to me. And again, I feel like this whole episode, everyone was boozy. Everyone was enjoying themselves.
Yes.
She had the
Everyone-
lit eyes going.
She was lit. She was Bianca. she came
Oh,
back
that
as
was
Bianca.
awesome.
And that's always entertaining. And she had her ass out.
Now, I wanted to ask you
It-
guys, Tanaka was granted, her booty did look poppin'.
Right.
But Tanaka was making a lot of comments about
Right.
it, and now, would you say that is crossing the line and going too far?
100% because she could hear. I'm like, just because she's got a wig on, you think you can say that now? Like she's
Now-
still in.
Now, in the defense of that,
It's Bianca, not Mariah.
when we as females, we have assets, and we're very aware of that.
Yes.
Assets. I know.
Pun intended.
Ass.
She
Oh.
she wore that outfit to be sexy. She wore that outfit because she's feeling herself, which she should. Her body's amazing. Did she wear that outfit so people would see her booty?
But again, that ties into her knowing what she
Right.
can.
So is it wrong
get
that
out of
someone like, you know,
Tanaka.
because Stella was like horrified when he made that comment about her ass. But it's also like, well, if we're all family here and you know everyone's comfortable with each other, then I could make a comment about your booty. I can make a comment about your booty, but no one's gonna be like
Do it.
horrified.
You see, because
know?
I think when
It's like they're playing both lines when it's
yes,
right for them.
that's when things get sticky. How I was saying earlier with I wasn't really sure if this type of relationship should happen between the talent and, you know, or your boss and
It
your
always is gonna get more
employees.
complicated,
It's
yes.
very, because there's certain times where things are okay and certain times where things are not okay. And I could see how you're all having fun, you're drinking, you're dancing, you're hanging out, you're going on vacations together. So you build up this like comfortable relationship, but then to blatantly be like, your ass looks good,
Right,
like
it was
looks
inappropriate.
fat,
You
and
said
it was
inappropriate.
perfection or something?
And he's like,
Yeah.
It was inappropriate.
I think it was inappropriate.
but she was wanting those comments.
But then again, like, is that really an ass you haven't seen before?
Right.
That's probably what she wears on stage.
She
You know what I'm
does. Her
saying?
Right, that
booty
is what she.
outfit
Her
is, like,
booty's always out.
Right. So
But I think he felt it was liquid courage. He also felt like he
Liquid
was
courage.
I feel like too because he came out so much this episode talking about how he feels about Mariah that it's like, you know, like once you say something, then it's like, all right, everyone knows. So
Yeah,
I'm
I
just
got
gonna
it off
run
my
with it.
chest.
Like I'm just gonna run with it. Nope, you can't. It's still inappropriate. She's still your boss. She's still engaged. Like she still has children. And we found Stella and Danielle and Christopher discussing that between the three of them about how they all had noticed Tanaka's behavior. what do you think about them discussing that without telling Mariah? And kind of being like, oh, we're just going to have this plan and not include her.
Well, I think they had to kind of convene and talk about
Yeah.
it because it was a question of whether or not they should bring it to her. Do you know what I mean? So
what do you guys think? Do you think they did the right thing, or do you think they should have said something?
as far as business-wise,
Yeah.
I agree with Stella. Or no, Danielle was the one, right, who said we don't want to have her thinking about that, even though she already knows. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. But
Right.
as far as they know, she might not realize Tanaka's, you know what I mean, putting it on.
Right.
So I agree with her.
Okay, so you would have kept it to yourselves and
Yeah.
just continued like monitoring the situation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. I don't think you need to draw attention to something. There's a lot of bigger things than
To
that
focus on.
to focus on until it became a legitimate problem and it was interfering with work or the performance.
Right.
Then it's something that needs to be addressed.
I felt like, now mind you, this is without me thinking that she's engaged, but they sounded like hating girlfriends for a little bit. I feel
yeah.
like they were like jealous, not
little bit
jealous,
salty.
but just salty. Like, oh, she's got a man. Like, she gets to, the dating game they
Right.
called it and all those things.
But
and
at
I
the
was
same
like,
time, it's her business and it's her relationship. And who are you to say she shouldn't be acting this way or he shouldn't be acting this way? Because when it all comes down to it, Mariah's condoning it. If she felt
Right.
uncomfortable or she
She
felt
would've
that he was
said
crossing a
something.
line, she's outspoken. She's not afraid to say like, "Yo, cut it out."
right.
Yeah.
And that's what I think that was uncomfortable, because they all know that Mariah's like that. They all know she would say something if she felt it. And I think they're uncomfortable with the fact that they're watching their friend, their boss, walk into a very uncomfortable
Yep.
situation
That they're
knowingly.
aware of, so they're like, does she know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I do get that.
Let's see. And then, okay, shortly after that conversation had happened,
Where do you think we missed something?
Well, I did have at the top that Mariah gave Airbnb a huge plug.
But everybody, I was gonna
It was
say
amazing. That was amazing. Like, she was legitimately just like, hey, I love Airbnb.
But all celebrities are doing that now.
Yeah.
She posted about it. I think she was staying somewhere at an Airbnb for Christmas because it was her next to that big tree. And she's like, thanks to Airbnb, like, I'm staying in
The
this.
Jenners did that too,
Yeah.
the Kardashians. But it's like, Airbnb, why are you giving all these extremely wealthy people, like, you know what I'm saying? They probably don't even have to pay for it. Where's the
Airbnb
love?
is totally
Like, give
paid.
me a free man. I want a free mansion.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
they can
right.
afford that.
I was like, all right, where's that studio that I can rent out?
Yeah, you know
It's like,
what I'm
that's
saying?
a far
Like,
cry from like the tummy detox tea. The big hashtag ad.
Most
like,
of us
oh,
are
nothing
Airbnb.
amazing.
Yeah, right.
Right.
the Instagram tea, whatever.
But so then it breaks it down where Anthony's talking to Tanaka and G, like they're in their own little session, and Anthony literally promoted Tanaka right in front of G.
Yeah, that. I would have been
Did you guys-
salty.
like, it's just like
That's a funny
Like,
situation.
So Olivia,
Cool,
I'm
so-
gonna need you to be my assistant because you're doing so excellent. Like,
And Jesse's just
and Jesse's just like crickets. Like, what do you do? That was so
Sits.
weird, right? It was so weird.
It was uncomfortable.
I was uncomfortable for G. I really wish, G, we wish you were here tonight because I would have loved to. I don't know. That was just a weird
a weird situation.
And
that
again,
in
it wasn't
private.
elaborated on, so that's the most we can say
We
about
can say
it.
it
'cause
right.
Cut
I know.
to.
Because
And we're
cut
done
to
with that.
something else. And then let's see here.
Him busting his
The
foot. Was that what was next?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, his knee. Okay, when he did that. First of all, did you notice how when Mariah went off to the right wing and Tanaka followed?
Oh, that's my way.
You have that third guy being like, yeah, I think I should probably go too. Like, I'm gonna chaperone or something. Like, it was just funny because he like went that way and then he's like, maybe I shouldn't. And then he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go over
Well,
there.
Yeah.
this whole episode, everybody comments on how Tanaka just straight up follows Mariah around. And once he hurt himself, Stella was like, he's just going to follow you on crutches now.
Yeah.
Right.
But Mariah knew it too. She was like, oh.
She likes it.
Yeah.
She likes being
Like,
followed
oh, she
around.
did that. She got all giddy and did that little like spin.
Yeah,
and then she's
little-
like, that's all I'm gonna do.
Oh my gosh, I wanted
Okay,
to bring
girl.
up to you guys. Did you see Mariah she wasn't in a wheelchair, but like a wheelie chair?
That was every
They've been
episode.
doing that every episode now.
But I feel like I need that. Don't you feel like a long night in heels, you're like, someone wheel me home?
Well, did you see
I need to
that?
be wheeled home.
Because that
You
happened,
don't
I think, in the
so?
premiere. They showed
Yes.
that because it was like 5 feet to
Okay,
the line.
but like it's funny. It's funny, but then
But
it
I
was like that was
understand her.
that took. Oh, I totally get it, but it was like, yo, you could have been there by now if you walked.
Yeah.
Like it was taking so long and no one was
But
steering
sometimes
it.
your feet hurt that bad.
It was funny. It's a quintessential Mariah thing to do. Just over the top. No, wheel me in the chair. Like, I'm not going to walk. I don't know. And
But
go ahead.
I was gonna say it became a meme after the first time she did it. It was like
Yeah.
me, Uber, and 2 blocks, and it was like her getting pushed. Like,
That's so
like, that
true,
is
though.
the-
We do that. Or yeah, that's so true.
See, we all do it in our own ways.
Yeah.
right? It may not be by like
Maybe.
a backup dancer
Yeah.
on my team, like to the stage,
Also,
but
One day.
Also, she was like loving being picked up this episode.
she was obsessed with
pick
it.
me up.
I'm in the bar. Pick me up.
Like, I'm not walking. Did you see when Anthony had to carry her across the grass?
But he was
Oh, I
saying
missed
like
that.
she's getting too comfortable
Yeah.
now. At first she was too scared and too timid to be lifted, but now that she's so comfortable,
she
she's
almost
just
dropped her.
throwing
She like
herself.
threw herself a G.
Yeah.
Slamming her head into the weight bench.
Like,
I'm like,
do you
okay.
want to get hurt?
Let's calm down a little bit here. But yeah, so he busts his knee and he's like, I think I tore my ACL and all this stuff, and then he's like, he comes back from the hospital and he's like, I'm gonna be out of commission for 10 days. And I was like, oh my
Dun,
God.
dun, dun.
Like, I was expecting like I was expecting to hear
Dramatic
like
sting.
6 months and then rehab, or or physical therapy. Like, I was expecting something way greater, especially when they teased us with Stella being like, he needs to go home.
Yeah.
And I was like, a week?
That's not.
Oh, you're good. You're gonna be fine, sweetie. You're gonna be
I'm not
okay.
sure how many shows happen in a course of a week, but
'Cause
if
at
they
this
were
point, she
already
said
at
they-
13,
And
right?
they said they had 14 more to go on the second leg.
Yeah,
So I'm
exactly.
like,
Okay.
I'm like,
And
okay,
then
so take a
they
little
took
break.
this whole situation and ran with it.
Oh yeah.
And then Stella was like, well, I think he should go home. He's trying to dance and he's, da 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 da. And like,
she just wants him out.
Stella just wants to take and
I love
she
your
was,
Stella.
She was taking the situation and running with it too. And Stella talks mad shit and has big
does.
balls when the camera's there. The second she went to talk to Mariah about the whole situation, and Mariah was like, well, and you could totally see Mariah like, how the fuck do I explain? How do I explain?
Yeah. How do I keep him around?
How do I keep him here? And she's like, well, and all you had to say is he's off for a week, so we'll keep him here for, then he'll be back on. But then she's like, I really think that, it's his living.
And I
it's
have
his
to be
life.
nice.
I have to be so nice. It's like, what? Where was that with everything? Oh, like budget. That's what I was waiting for. And then Stella just shrinks back and is like, okay, you're so nice. You're so great. Like,
She's like, I was about time to go home.
and I'm just gonna jump ahead. I want to see if they do the same for isn't it G that gets hurt in the next episode that they teased it with?
Oh,
I
I'm
couldn't
not
hear the
sure.
name. I thought they said Joe, but I'm like,
Oh, maybe
I
they
heard
said
G 'cause
Joe.
I'm
Okay. We couldn't really tell, but I want to see if she's gonna be that nice to the other person that gets hurt. I mean,
Well, she personally went to go check on him.
yes. But I did love that she did not go to the I mean, obviously she's not gonna go to the hospital with him, but like, I don't know. It was just a
Well,
weird.
you want to know why? Probably because there is no harsher lighting than
Then the hospital
fluorescent
lights,
lighting of a
right?
hospital.
Like, she'd have like
point.
mega sunglasses.
Because let me tell you something. It's like way to kick you when you're down. Like I'm already busted up in the hospital, and then I need to be
Can you
under
take a
these
picture
lights,
of
and I
me?
go, yeah, right. So I get that. And also, can I? I'm just gonna add a little comment.
Yes.
It seems to be a trend with whatever after show I'm doing. Someone on the show gets hurt a little bit, and I find like a minor injury on somebody so attractive, and I don't know what that is. It's so weird. Like
So you thought
Like
Tanaka
the
was like
little-
hotter?
it. Like I got
Yeah.
it.
You're blushing.
Like if I wasn't on board yet, seeing someone like with crutches, or like a little swing.
Crutches really turn you on.
They didn't even give him they gave him like these lame. They gave him like old people crutches. Like, did you see how they had those things? Like that was like that was not. Those weren't real crutches.
I
Oh,
don't know.
no, those are.
Yeah,
I'm not
like
even
these,
gonna say
like-
anything because I can feel some dark waters getting.
Dark,
so I was
okay,
make a
we're just
comment
gonna
about-
stop. Yeah, because we're
We'll get
thinking the
clocked
same
for
thing.
something,
Yeah, clocked for
saying-
something.
talking about
Anyway, those
disability.
crutches weren't real crutches.
But just something about like you being slightly wounded, where it's like,
Wounded.
oh, you need help, like you need me to take care of you. It sounds like I'm about to misery someone, like.
I could see you like working in hospice or something.
Imagine
People agreed with
he,
me
like,
on the
gets
la-
a
the
job
last
at the
time I said
hospital
that.
So funny.
to find a soulmate.
Well, guys, I can't make it next week. I'm doing volunteer duty.
Stop it.
But when they're like better, they're not even hot anymore.
Oh my gosh.
No, but I've developed a little crush on Tanaka. Crutches or not, like I don't know.
But they didn't hurt, right? Like you were like, okay.
I
like,
mean,
baby,
I felt
put
a
your
little
leg
bad
up.
for him.
Like, I
You're
got-
like, honey,
I thought he was a pussy. It turned me off.
what? I think I don't know.
Well, when he cried.
Well, he gets like crying and he's
Oh,
like,
okay,
"Ugh."
that's yeah.
And he's
that's
like
a little
7
much.
days. I'm sorry, a 7-day injury is not really an injury to me. It really
I would
isn't.
feel bad if it truly
If it
disrupted
really
his
set
career.
him back.
Yes.
That would have been upsetting, obviously, but they had to make it into something for the show.
Yeah.
And then G took over.
Like
for
a
Tanaka,
boss.
like a boss, and they did. Did you notice though when they when in the show when they were only using the 5 guys to carry her, how they had 3 on the back side, and only 2 on the front of her couch?
I didn't notice the change.
And maybe this is me just being like weird. I would have thought that maybe they would have put 3 people on the front. Because you know how she had rolled off before in the past? Maybe put 3 people so that's a little heavier. So at worst, she's being tipped backwards.
Yeah.
I don't know why I even thought that, but I was like watching and I was like, oh.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Sorry. Me just being
very observant.
trying.
Very astute of you. Yeah.
And then when Mariah, then we get, okay. So after Mariah visits Tanaka, then we find out, like, dun dun dun, it's the last day that he's going to be there. Like, they're in Italy, Tanaka's flying. Well, we already talked about that, but how he stays. But he didn't know he was staying at that point. And, like, Rock, her son, comes over, and he's playing with Mariah's son. And you just see Mariah, like, that's when I finally knew. I'm like, she's in it. She's in it. Like, she got googly eyes over him.
Seeing someone with your child.
When a man is with your baby and they get along, it's game over.
I was feeling for her at that moment.
Definitely.
And that was another reason why I'm crushing on him, because the way he was just like,
But do you think he's not going to do that?
No, of course he is, because he knows the game that he's playing.
I mean, how do you not get sucked into that? When Rock was like, I don't want you to get hurt. He's like, oh, you're going to make it better. He's like touching his knee. I'm like,
He's like, I saw you dance.
It was really cute interaction.
Fresh.
So cute.
Precious.
And then we find out, he's not going to leave, and the pizza looked delicious.
Mm-hmm. Which she cooked in her lingerie.
That was so funny.
But I
like
what
that
she said.
It.
She was like,
I don't tell you what to cook your food in.
Exactly. She was like, well, it's lingerie night in Mariah Carey land, so too bad.
I love that.
Regardless of what Mariah does, whether I agree with it, whether I disagree with it, whether I think it's a good move, a bad move, she owns it.
Right.
I would say 99.99% of the time. She's going to completely own whatever she's doing.
Well, that's how you have to be.
Right. And that made me want to go, honestly, make pizza in my lingerie. I'm like, that looks fun. I would have a pizza party.
Because then if you own it, like, no one can say anything that's going to get to you. It's like, whatever.
Yep.
And I feel like people a lot of times hate on you because they're not confident enough to do what you're doing. So the people that are hating on her in her lingerie cooking pizza, if you had a sick body like that and you could have pretty lingerie and cook pizza, you would be doing it too with people taking pictures of you. You're just hating on it because you're not secure enough or comfortable enough in your own day-to-day to go cook pizza in your lingerie.
I admire her. I mean, granted, she's Mariah Carey, so why wouldn't you feel fabulous all the time? But just, being a woman and being able to be that confident in yourself to do whatever it is you want to do, ridiculous or not, despite what anybody says, like, too bad for you. If I want to cook pizza friggin' naked, like, I'm going to cook pizza naked. So
if I had a fiance, though, I don't know how he would feel about me cooking pizza in my lingerie
that's another
in front
thing.
of 6 grown men.
Right.
I mean, does he know anything that's going on?
Well, I don't think so.
Behind the scenes on this tour, so
but also
throw some lingerie.
maybe he doesn't care. Maybe it was so vested, in him and his life that he was like, whatever you do, that's fine with me. Just don't cheat.
Well, I was wondering where...
maybe that's where the line's drawn. I don't know.
Could be, because they're both very, like, successful, high beings in society.
Doing.
Exactly. So whether it's they both trust each other to the extent where it's like, you know what, you're a superstar and that's what you do. Right. And as long as you're faithful and loyal to me, like, I trust you enough. Either that or their relationship had already been tipping to this point and it was just progressively coming apart because I would like to think that she would have enough respect for him to respect their relationship and not be giving into this whole Tanaka thing if they were 100%. But oftentimes when people do cheat or when they're on the verge of cheating, what they have is already over, on the verge of being over. Do you agree? Or?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I just feel like if it is on the verge of being over, you should just end things before. Right. Because someone ends up, sometimes the other person doesn't know it's on the verge of being over. Maybe in your mind, you're like, yeah, this is, I'm just going to wait this out. But the other person might not be aware. They might think, oh, it's a little bit of rough waters. I don't know. But we also don't know what he's doing. Maybe he goes to strip clubs with clients. I don't know. Maybe he has.
It's an extreme example.
No, I'm just saying. Maybe he has a bunch of half-naked chicks on his yacht. I don't know. we don't know.
Right, we
those
don't
things.
know.
So if maybe they do have an agreement, like he's, I'm not going to say they're both beautiful people. He's very wealthy and well off.
He's someone.
She's a superstar and gorgeous. They're going to be surrounded, people with money, people with power are going to be surrounded by beautiful bottom feeders. Right?
I didn't.
You didn't expect that? You didn't expect
Where's
that?
she going with it?
You know?
We got a lot of speculation flying around.
You know that he's got a lot of thotties after him.
Oh,
You know
of
that
course.
she's
That's
got,
just the lifestyle,
exactly.
and that's the industry.
And they both understand.
So maybe
that,
they both
clearly.
were mature enough to handle that,
And if so, I admire that.
and maybe they did just have a nice conversation of it's not work. It's not going to work. Let's part ways. Who knows? I would hope that that's maybe what they did.
Like you said, I think it's easier to give into that temptation if things aren't at 100% at home. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
But you not, having the courage to end things first before doing that, that's why it's called cheating. Because
Right.
it seems easier to just give in and like back burner that at the moment than just be upfront, even though it ends up being more of a mess later, when they
Right.
find out.
Right.
So.
So let's look at the next episode. Should we do predictions?
Oh wait, can I ask? Did you
yeah.
guys miss Molly at all?
No.
This
I
episode-
honestly,
I
I
didn't
didn't
know
even
she
think
was
about
gone.
Molly until
Yeah.
you just said that.
That's weird. I
That's
really didn't
super
either.
weird. I feel like Molly was just extra baggage to the show. It didn't really make it. The show
She was
or break
another
the show.
storyline.
I think now that the Tanaka thing is kicking in
They don't
high
need
gear,
her.
they don't need that anymore.
Right.
Same thing with all the drama they had, like the thing with Marianne, and that barely
we haven't
became
even seen
anything.
Marianne.
That fest,
Right,
yeah.
we haven't seen Marianne at all. I was thinking that actually.
She was a little
past
too much,
episode.
so I'm not like.
No.
So
I'm not
about
mad.
No.
It's just
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
I'm mad at you.
Now can we do predictions?
Sure.
Time.
All right.
Now, your AfterBuzz TV.
So, we see, I guess, in the previews for the next episode, that Mariah has her last dress fitting.
Sorry, I was like in the live chat. We got some people trying to.
I know.
clock
I'm trying to
stuff.
finish.
Oh, I think they're talking about.
There's a couple people
Like
going
we
back.
can't see the whole conversation, guys, but we hope that you're all being able to discuss things.
Oh, they
between
are.
yourselves.
I've been looking
Together.
down.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, I'm not even here for long.
Oh, okay. There's some shade.
We'll just there's
Okay.
some shade, but we don't care.
Right? Shade away.
We like it.
So Mariah has her last dress fitting, and she has it in front of Tanaka.
Ironic.
That's weird to me.
That is
I
weird.
wonder what it was like to be in Tanaka's shoes at that point.
It's
He was probably
uncomfortable,
dying inside.
right? I mean, what?
He's probably looking at her like, oh,
I
that's
feel
my
like
bride.
your dress fitting is supposed to be this
Intimate.
and I know it's not her first wedding, but it's a moment, and
Well, guys, they've been friends for 10 years.
but also too, like, if I'm gonna get married and I'm this celebrity, I'm gonna want everyone to see my dress on that day. I'm not gonna want to be like, oh, here's what I'm gonna be wearing. You're gonna see me again in it, and I don't know. It was just a weird circumstance for me.
But again, it's like, would he have been there if the cameras weren't rolling
Right.
in that fitting? Do you know what I mean?
Right. Probably not.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand
And
what's for the cameras and what's genuine.
right. And when did this fitting take place? Was it after they broke up? Like, is it just a like?
Right.
Kind of not scripted, but is it I don't know.
Well, wasn't Easter in not this episode, last episode, right? When
Yeah.
her birthday
Okay,
was,
so
which
we're
was on
past
Easter. So this is a little bit after Easter. So,
Okay, so they're still
that couldn't
together,
had to at least
yeah.
been before the summer. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? And they
yeah.
didn't officially call it quits till after the summer. So
Right. That's it. I don't know. I just found it odd that they had the
Yeah, oh,
dancers
absolutely.
there. And then we see that another dancer gets injured. So what do you guys think's gonna happen?
Well, Tanaka is going to make a recovery, no? Is it going to be by this episode or not?
I don't know.
I don't know because Ambrosial Songbird, who's given us a lot tonight, we see you. She mentioned that he was actually out for months. That came up earlier in the feed. I don't know.
So
I
it
didn't
ended
read
up being
anything on
longer
that.
than the 7 days that he said.
Yeah, well, because he said 10, right?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, 10, but
Well,
she
then
said
he
it ended up
he's
being
like,
a
10
couple
days,
of months.
So I'll be out for a week. Okay.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Okay.
So
he got a
maybe
vacation.
not. Yeah,
Pretty
right?
much.
Paid vacation.
Thanks to Mariah. Thanks to Boo.
Right.
Thanks, girl.
What do you think's gonna happen?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure
Because now
how
they're
you-
down to what? That'll bring them down to 4 dancers?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how do you handle a situation like this? Because 1, you're overseas. 2, they must have shows pretty frequently, not every day, but more than once a week if we're
Close enough to
traveling
have
at
to
this
scramble.
place. Exactly. So how quickly can you find someone who's capable and find someone that can learn all this material and create the type of relationship they need to have a successful, smooth show. Like that things get tight.
Right. I think they're just gonna have to change the choreography up. I don't think they're gonna add anybody.
What I
What do you
see as a pattern with this show is that they'll make it look like there's going to be some big drama, and then it's sort of
It's
anticlimactic.
petty
So I
drama,
think
yeah.
the next on is making it look like it might be something big, and I think it's going to sort of fizzle.
Well, remember didn't he tell us that he had to leave the tour early because he got hurt? Remember?
Yeah, I
was
think
here?
he said he did get
So
hurt.
maybe it is G then.
So that's why I
you're
thought
right.
it was G, and that's why I'm also thinking that, it's just Tanaka that gets to be the favorite and stay on the tour when he gets hurt.
I wonder
Well, yeah,
how
is G going to stay? Like, how do you...
Right.
how that communicates to the other dancers.
Right, so
well,
we'll-
Tanaka can stay, but we have no use for you, so.
Right. So we'll see. Maybe
Toodaloo.
he doesn't. Maybe he kept on until he found out. Other
Maybe they'll
things.
use
We'll see.
I've known him for 10 years. You could always use that, right?
Right.
Because he's been around
And
the longest.
I didn't know you, so I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know you.
Well, I don't know you. We'll see what happens. And we do have some special guests next week, so make sure you guys tune in. You can find me on all social media at Abigail Fraher.
And you can find me across all social media at Jessie J. D'Angelo.
And hit me up at The Real OG.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.